So today is today is Thursday, January 23rd. I took sales on gold around, let's see, it was around 5:50 in the morning when I took sales on gold, right at this 27.53 level. And basically, as price was coming into the zone, we were making new lows. I was already thinking that price wanted to pull back because of the new high that we had made. So I was already watching out for lows being broke. So coming into the zone, we broke 27.49 and we made a new low, 27.40. So coming back into 27.54, I was looking for more sales to the downside. So I will show you that on the charts. So basically coming into the zone, 27.49 was broke to 27.40. So when price got back up into here, I was looking for sales, basically looking for the same reaction. So we had to break a structure with my momentum candles, and we made a new low, and then we tapped back into the zone. So once it rejected and then came back, I was entering in. And today, what I did was actually kind of funny. I've been having a problem with number one, over leveraging. So I cut my risk all the way down because I didn't want to care about the trade. And I've been having a problem with not holding my trades long enough because I get scared of the pullback. So today I was like, no matter what, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna just see what happens. So today I was seeing the zone, and I knew that we eventually would want to buy, but I was doing a counter trend trade, which I can't say is part of my rules, but it is part of my rules it's part of my rules to trade with the current trend. So whether that's like the hourly and the 4 hourly, technically I'm not trading with the trend, it was a counter trend. But for what it was doing on the 5 and 15 minute, making that low, it was basically trending down from London session into New York. So it gave me my momentum candles, my breaker structure, and it gave me my pullback into the zone and the reaction from the zone. So that's why I took the trade. I knew I was working on holding the trade, and I had a zone set up because what I was thinking originally was price was going to come back into the zone and come down here to 27.32. So I wanted to see price drop to there, but it didn't want to get that far. So I was holding. So basically what I did was set and forget, and I basically set and forget a little bit too much. So I wasn't watching it at all, and I lowered my risk all the way. So that's good. I lowered my risk and I didn't pull out of the trade at all. But at the same time, I have to pay attention to what the risk to reward is and not overstaying in a trade. Like, I don't need to get a 1 to 10 every single time, but I do need to at least get a 1 to 3. And the trade that I had took was actually, if I had set better take profits, and that's what I haven't been doing, that I really need to do, because like, I've been having a problem with not holding long enough, but today I held too long. But even on the trades where I don't hold long enough, sometimes it was long enough to capture some profits. And so if I have multiple take profits, I can set some that are small, and then I can hold the rest and be taking, if I'm in sales, I'm taking profits as it's coming down. If I'm in buys, I'm taking profits as it's going up. So if I would have gotten out, like if I would have just basically taken the low-hanging fruit and price did go exactly back to that low at 27.42, and if I would have taken that, or at least just some off the table, because I did lower my risk all the way, but even if I would have taken some, that would have definitely been a 1 to 3. So I did good at entering in at my zone, or at least waiting for that rejection off the zone and then the pullback. So it was very close to my zone. My risk to reward was really nice. I didn't need to have such a large stop loss because of the way it was set up. I knew that if it came back and broke these highs, then it was probably going to keep going up. So, and that's exactly what it did. So my stop loss was here above these highs, and I was basically really targeting 27.30, but that was a really big that was a really big take profit. It could have gotten down there, but maybe in a actual downtrend. But because this is overall an uptrend on the higher time frame, I definitely should have been looking for the buy opportunities, which could have came. I saw a lot of people getting in like down here and stuff, and I definitely noticed that it was this zone that created the high. This zone basically at 2740, and it got here and it basically built off of that. So got to that zone and then just rejected it and started building up. Even made this, I don't really go too much off patterns, but if you look at this, came into the zone, rejected, indecision, decision, came up, broke these highs of these candles, and then it came back and rejected again. So that was the first confluence that it wanted to react off that zone, but I also wasn't looking at it. So I basically set and forget too much, and I was expecting it to just get to my zone without watching the charts basically. So what I need to do is have my take profits set, but also be making sure I'm looking at zones that are potential reversals and be taking profits at those zones. So get in at my zones and take profits at other potential zones, right? Especially if I'm already at a 1 to 3. I didn't need to go for a 1 to 7 or 1 to 8 or anything. So basically, because I wasn't watching it, because I wasn't on the charts, price hit the zone, turned all the way around on me, and hit my stop loss. So it is good that I was risking less because I really didn't care at all, which felt a lot better. It felt a lot better to be carefree, so and just let the trade want to play out. So I'm going to keep lowering my risk. I'm going to set smaller take profits. I'll be wanting to get to that high that it just created, or I'll be wanting to get to the low and I'll be wanting to take it out and basically keep going with the wave of the trend. But what I need to do is I need to have my entry and then set multiple take profits going to that last entry, but taking money on the way there. So yeah, and just go along with what the market is doing. So yeah, overall it was a pretty good trade. I'm not mad at it. I did follow my rules. From now on, I will also make sure that I'm looking for trades in the direction of the overall trend so I can catch those moves that I really want to catch, because the big moves come from when you are following along with the trend. So yeah, better trading day, better trade, good following. So January 23rd, I also took a trade on NASDAQ today, which is new because I don't usually trade NASDAQ, but the risk was so low and I do like NASDAQ. I've been wanting to also look at something else when the charts on gold are just consolidating, and it was pretty good. Like, it was a pretty simple setup. I was just looking for breaks of structure with supply and demand. I was on the much smaller time frame. I actually did on NASDAQ what I should have been doing on gold, which was waiting for the pullback to finish, because we are in an uptrend on both. Waiting for the pullback to finish into the zone and then start showing me that it wanted to continue back to the upside. It was consolidating for a long time, but usually I would get scared, you would say, and like basically already assume that it's gonna hit my stop loss. But because my risk was so much lower, I basically I just didn't care, so I was just holding it. But I still end up getting out earlier than what I wanted to, just because it was much later in the day and I didn't want to hold. Basically, I had been holding, I had got in at like 6:30, 6:20, and I got out at probably like 10 something. I was on a much smaller time frame, and basically I knew price had entered in a buy zone, which was here, 21,690 around here, and how we were coming down, and then we broke this high, made a new high, and then our lows was staying on top of each other. And so I entered around that 2692 area and took it to about here, around up here or something like that. It was around 10:30, 10:40, and I got out, and I did see that this setup was forming, which is a really good demand setup. Here it gave me the break of structure, and then it pulled back into the zone. So I have the wicks off right now, but with the wicks on, you could see that it went into the zone and wicked. But at the end of the day, still broke structure, gave us a new high, and then it pulled back into that zone. And getting on the smaller time frame, you can really see price tapping into that zone and then basically making that low and then continuing off, right? And basically did it again and then basically traded up and kept doing it. So this was a good trade as well. It was just something that I was trying because I want to extend into looking at least two so that I can get really comfortable with trading live and trading my setup. So that was a trade that I took on NASDAQ. It was around 6:15 in the morning. I had my stop loss set, so I knew that if price had gotten below this low or closed below the low at 21,680, 21,685, then I wasn't gonna hold the trade anymore. So I was just waiting and waiting. It felt good to just hold the trade and not be worried about it. So I'll definitely keep my risk at a minimum right now, just so I can get that feeling and get that confidence of seeing my trade, taking the trade, and then holding my trade, and making sure I have TPs throughout my zone. So that's what I really need to focus on. I'm getting better at the entries. I know I'll be better at holding from lowering my risk. So it's about setting my take profits, because I definitely could have just looked to the left and used these highs as take profits and even held to the top, but I wouldn't have really needed to hold to the top. But still, I could have used a lot bigger TPs, especially trading with the trend. Basically what I should have been doing on gold. But yeah, nonetheless, it was a good trade and still ended up being like a 1 to 3. So that's cool. And yeah, it was a chill trade. I'm getting better at seeing it on the markets. And honestly, with this one, I was kind of like almost thinking sells for a second because of how much it was dropping. But honestly, seeing this break of structure, from it dropping and seeing the break of structure and then it not breaking any lows, I was like, you know what, this is looking like it's ready to buy. So no getting out and getting back in. I got in one time on each position and I just held. And so NASDAQ, I could have held longer because I was, number one, trading with the trend on the higher time frame, and there was plenty of highs to the left that could have been hit. And with gold, it was a good trade. It was my setup, but it was a counter trend trade, so it wasn't as big as what if I was trading with the trend on the higher time frame could have been. And on the gold trade, I didn't set proper take profits, so I would be trading with the overall trend, setting my proper take profits, and holding, but also keeping my risk to a minimum, and holding, but also taking profits either on the way up or on the way down. So